Whenever we meet a new partner, we're all on our best behaviour. We put our best soldiers forward, and we tend to hide the parts of ourselves in either the cupboard or, in terms of psychoanalysis, in our shadow. So here's a list of 8 essential questions that you may or may not want to ask a new potential partner. Question number 1, how low do you go? So this is really a telling question. Like, how bad are you? We're keen to ask, what have you achieved, successes, what do you aspire to? But the truth is, to get to know somebody, you need to know how low they go. And I mean that in all kinds of behaviour. It would be a shocking question to ask somebody outright, but this is the world that we're living in. And the worst thing is that we end up in the wrong relationship with a really wrong person. And so that's a great question to ask, or to at least you seek out the answer to that question, even if you know they are not going to answer it directly. Question number 2, what's your MO? What's your modus operandi? How do you operate? If I gathered all your exes in one room, what would they say about you? What's your pattern or your style of behaviour? Do you come in fast? Burn out fast? Are you a slow mover? What are your habits and your dislikes? And what would be a deal breaker in this potential relationship? Question number 3 is on the subject of exes. So you might want to ask them, do you have any exes in the cupboard? Now, as a forensic psychologist, I sincerely hope the physical answer to that is no. But emotionally, people keep exes hanging about in the background, hoping perhaps one of them's going to come back, or they just keep a few on the horizon. I call them horizon people, just to stroke their ego, really. And so they've started entertaining you and wanting to date you, but the truth is there's an ex or a soulmate or what's called a twin flame now. Oh my goodness. And people put themselves on a suffer mission. So they'll say, oh yes, but we're bound by the soul, so they're never really going to be my ex, and they could come back at any point. So you might want to check that. Have you got any exes about at the moment that you would rather I didn't know about? Because you might as well tell me, I'm going to find out. Question number 4, how was your childhood really? Now, this is a very telling question, because how people act in adult relationships is how they were taught to act in childhood relationships. And so it's no fault of any of us. We just copy the style. And unless we've broken the pattern, then we will just attract in, manifest, look for, unconsciously or consciously, people to replicate our early relationships. Now, if the early relationships were traumatic, whether the parents are still alive or not, did they get their needs met by their parents? Because this is actually quite a serious question, because if they did not, then they might be looking to you to project onto, and then what happens is they transfer their past onto you. And if it was traumatic, then situations could likely arise where it's almost a setup and you wouldn't be aware of it. So how did you get on with your parents? How do you get on with them now? And it's actually a huge subject. So just a general question, how was your childhood? Number 5, what is your worst quality? Now this list is a bit telling, isn't it? We might be thinking at this point, look, nobody's going to answer these questions truthfully. No, but if you can't answer them when you first meet them and have a bit of a laugh about it, when they are on their best behaviour, is when you're going to get your most honest answers. And if later they show something different, well, they've just revealed themselves. So look, we all have qualities, traits that we have to work on, and that can be a lifelong work in progress. But that's not a problem if you're very honest about it. If your problem is being insecure in a relationship, the best thing you can do is tell them. And then you get onto the real questions. Okay, how can I make you feel more secure in this relationship? What do you need from me? Because, that's the point, isn't it? That we help each other out. Question number 6. Spell the word creditors. They can either spell that because they know what one is, or they can't spell it because they don't know what one is. And if you don't know what one is, just Google it. The word creditors. And that's going to tell you quite a lot about their financial circumstances. question number 7. At any point, are you hoping to tie me up? Oh, the imagination goes wild with this one, doesn't it? There's kind of 2 types of tying up. So there's obviously the are you into sexual bondage type, but then there's the do you need to tie me up and dominate me to actually get excited about having sex? There's no right and wrong to these answers, by the way, no judgment, but they're just very telling answers. So you actually might not get all the answers to these questions, but the way they respond to the question is going to tell you a lot anyway. Question number 8 and the last question. When you say the words, I love you, does it mean A, I see a real future with you and I'm really resonating and I hope we're still together in 10 years? Or does it mean B, if I say I love you, can we get to the sex part quicker? Or is I love you code for the fact that you're going to be gone in 2 weeks? Okay, you might not get the real answers to these questions, but the point of giving you them and maybe asking them is to get you thinking, because we go blindly into relationships and then somebody gets hurt, and we can get hurt in many ways. So it can just, if we're lucky, it's just an emotional hurt, but if we're really unlucky, it's a physical hurt. And so it's just to get you to think more before you go rushing in under the whole fantasy element. You might want to consider reality, or anyway what we call reality, a bit more. Good luck. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.